No. Okay, just wait for a couple of minutes. 8:30. Uh, the others are not here. Shall we just start? नहीं तो सब देर हो जाता है. Everybody is falling off to sleep. Should we move this class to 8 p.m.? Sangeeta is okay with it. Shaila, Vidya, Varsha, okay. All right. Okay, let me speak with the others also. And because I see people just, getting so sleepy, then nothing is going in. All right, let's take the opening mantra. Vasudevasutam devam kamsachanuramardanam devaki paramanandam krishnam vande jagadgurum. Okay, so we left here last time. So the 15th verse. The duties for human beings are described in the Vedas, and the Vedas are manifested by God Himself. So therefore, the all pervading Lord is eternally present in the acts of sacrifice. So, what has happened is Krishna has spoken of yagna, and yagna in the ancient times was really just a fire ritual, and that is not the yagna that he is speaking of. He's actually clarifying to Arjun that um, the yagna is actually uh, all the daily actions that or all the activities that he is performing throughout the day, they are part of a yagna. And this yagna has been started by Krishna, and he is simply to participate in. And his action and his activity and how his intentions are, how he chooses to participate in this yagna, is what becomes an offering into this yagna. This is a new definition of yagna that Krishna is giving. It is not just karma, yagna karma of the physical fire ritual, okay? And now he's telling him that so when they use the word duties in this translation like this, what they mean is your actions and your activities for the day, whatever it is that you are meant to do in whatever role and in whatever capacity you hold, as a mother, as a father, as for Arjun as a warrior, for us as employees. So for us in all of these roles, all these duties, how it's he's telling Arjun, it has been described in the Vedas. So, first of all, understanding what Veda means here. What does Krishna mean by described in the Vedas? So, Vedas means true knowledge, Veda or scriptures. It means true knowledge, but it is not restricted to bookish knowledge. It is not just the four Vedas that we have. That is not, yes, it is there, but true knowledge is something that is available with anyone who has come into a state of self realization. Okay, then Veda comes out of that person. So that is what he means. By scriptures and by Vedas, he does not mean just the four physical books, because knowledge itself is evolving all the time, it's dynamic. So he's explaining to Arjun. Osho has mentioned that uh, Vedas refers to any being who has come into a self realized state, and therefore he becomes like a portal for truth. Okay, is that making sense? Is that clear? And Osho has mentioned how that is the reason why Vedas have been called apurushaya, meaning they do not come from humans. What does it mean that they don't come from humans? We will say, of course, they come from humans. Our rishis are the one who wrote the Vedas, but our rishis moved from a human state to a divine state. And only then the Vedas descended on them. Does that make sense? That is why it is called Apurashaya. That is why it is called as not restricted. It is not what is mentioned in the books. It is what has come from people. Vedas itself has come from the divine. And anybody who reaches this divine consciousness is a source of that Vedas or true knowledge. All right. So these scriptures How should you act? Now Arjun is confused. No, he wants to run away. How should he act? He had asked Krishna, you tell me clearly the path of Sankhya or the path of Karma Yoga. You're confusing me. So Krishna is trying to tell him, you must act according to your role, according to whatever is your ashram, whatever is your duty right now. And again, I'm using the word duty in a very basic sense. It is the requirements of your role, and the requirements for every role have been described in these scriptures, and we will get into this. Osho will speak about this. What are these roles? What is the science behind it? How should you know what your role is and function according to that? Before that, he gives a very nice example. So how is it that a human being becomes a source of the Vedas, like the rishis became the source of true knowledge? In our times also, how can someone become a source of true knowledge? So he shares this story of a Zen monk called Banke, and there is a professor in the Tokyo University who is very interested in philosophy, in the search for truth, and he hears about Banke, and he decides to go and meet him. So he climbs this really steep mountain, and it takes him hours to reach the monastery, and he's huffing and puffing and panting and sweating. So Banke comes and he says, he meets him, and this professor is like, I have come to you to know the ultimate reality. What is the ultimate truth? So Banke says, sit down, catch your breath, rest a little bit, let me get you some tea. So this professor is very puzzled. He says, I have come all the way to ask him what the ultimate reality is, and he wants to waste my time, you know, in resting and drinking tea and settling myself. And he is not able to appreciate that. So then Banke gets a cup of tea, and he starts pouring tea into the cup. This happens on this screen. Okay. So as he pours, he keeps pouring, and the tea starts spilling into the saucer. And this professor is looking at him and he thinks he's really mad. From the time he has come, this man is talking in a way that makes no sense to him. So finally, he says, what are you doing? Can't you see that the tea is overflowing and you should stop? It's all falling in the saucer. So he says, exactly, this is what I'm trying to tell you. The cup has to be empty for something to be poured into it. Your state of mind and your mind is also like this teacup which is full. Anything that is poured into it will simply overflow outside, nothing will go in. Now, he's a professor. This man understands, at least sees the logic in what Banke says, and he says, okay, I will come back to you when I have emptied myself. So Banke says, when you have emptied yourself, you will not need to come at all, because then once you are empty, the divine descends into you. This is the way Osho has explained how human beings move from human state to divine state. Once they become empty, and what does it mean to become empty? The I has disappeared. There is no I anymore. The being has merged with pure consciousness. He's just one. He's come into the experience of Advaita. He says if that happens for a person, then automatically divine descends into that person, and this person is the source of the Vedas. This person is the source of truth. Banke says if this happens to you, you don't need me, you don't even need to come to me. So that's a story, an example Osho has taken to explain to us what it means uh, to be that scriptures alone are not the source of Vedas. It is human beings who have come into states like this. So, like for us, Osho, I see Osho, Sadhguru, I Shri Ravi Shankar like that. They have come into certain states, and now the divine is coming out through them, expresses itself through them, the ultimate reality and truth. So, okay, the 16th verse. O Arjun, man lives in the world but does not follow the cycles of nature. That is to say, he does not act according to scriptures. If he seeks only the enjoyment of sensory pleasures, he commits sin. Hence, his life is meaningless. So, if you're only engaged in food and entertainment, which is really a very large part of grahast life, so many of us are, it does take a pretty large part of our life, food and entertainment. Look at the amount of time that goes into it. So if you are only with sensory pleasure, then you are literally wasting your life. Krishna is saying that his life becomes meaningless. Uh, okay. Now, Indriya Rama, for the delight of their senses, Mogam is vainly. It's a waste, he's saying. Now, what this means is if you don't follow the cycles of nature, what does cycle of nature here really refers to your ashram in life? That just like everybody has a we have studied the life cycle of the butterfly in school, like that human beings also have their own life cycle. Like we start, it's not just about baby and youth and adulthood, it's about brahmacharya ashram, then moving to grahastha ashram, then moving to vanprasth and sannyas. These four ashrams are considered as the cycle. This is a scientific method. He says you must follow the cycles of nature as it has been given in the scriptures. So the scriptures have described these cycles, and our actions should be in accordance with that. Now, just a few comments that I want to share with you on this is that um, so my when I studied with my teacher Manoj, he had shared on this particular shloka. He said, see, any kind of anand, any kind of pleasure that we feel is in a way touching into the deepest layer within us, which is anand. We've heard in spiritual literature, they say that you are nothing but anand, you are nothing but love. So sometimes, if eating a particular food, watching a particular movie, being with a friend is creating a sense of pleasure in you, it is coming from inside you because that particular stimulus allows you to touch that. Okay. So it comes from that. It's like Atma Rati. Rati means pleasure. So he shared something like this. So he says to, uh, you know, one way to tap into this state of anand is get up in the morning, decide what am I going to do for the day, have your task list, and then follow that. So it will, when you're able to abide by that and you've decided something and you accomplish, it gives you a sense of accomplishment. It will create a sense of pleasure, a sense of satisfaction and santosh. He said something which I really liked. He said, sometimes you will decide things for yourself and you will not be able to stick to it. You're going to feel bad about it. It is possible that many of us, the way we live, we will talk to our friends about it, or we will say to somebody, Arey, I couldn't do it. I'm not able to do it. We will play ourselves down. We'll be badgering ourselves and talking to somebody else. Manoj said, don't do it. Don't tell other people that I couldn't do it. I am not able to do such things because other people are not, most people are not established in a state of buddhi. Everybody is into their, mind and desires and likes, dislikes, judgments. They will judge you. They will not see you from a place of buddhi. Most people are not able to see. If you have not been able to do it, it's all right. It was not meant for the day. You just be in acceptance and be in santosha. Don't just try to establish this is how it was meant to flow for today, and that is how it is. Don't repent about it, because the most important thing for a spiritual seeker is to maintain a level of peace, a level of contentment within himself. Otherwise, further progress gets hampered. So see in every situation how you can expand your acceptance and move ahead. It's like charete, charete. Shri Ravi Shankar says, Ashtavakra Gita mein bola jata hai. Just keep moving. Don't get stuck with anything. We can get stuck with that stuff. Oh, I didn't do it. I should have done it. And we keep repenting. Those kind of thoughts are very counterproductive for a spiritual seeker. So just keep moving. Just be in acceptance. That is how it was. And now life is moving, move with it. Okay. So, okay. Now, happiness in modern times. Why did I put that? So, this is a comment from Swami Sarvapriyananda. He says, happiness, what do we think happiness is in modern times? He says, first, we try to, create tension, and then we release the tension and we call it happiness. So, in the whole day, you will work in such a way that you're totally stressed out. And then happiness is go to a nightclub, disco, party, drink, and then we call that happiness. So, that happiness is not really Atmarati. That's just covering yourself. It's just a coating. It is not letting you get in touch with with the genuine source from where happiness comes. Okay, it comes by working on yourself. So that was a comment that he had made. Now, what are the cycles of nature? So Krishna is telling Arjun that Arjun, you should not be running away. You should be performing your karma according to the cycles of nature. Arjun is telling him that Krishna, let me take sannyas. Why are you, suggesting that I stay here on the battlefield? Now, there are four ashrams that we know of. There is brahmacharya, there is grahast householder, vanaprasth, and sannyas. Now, there is a cycle of grain to rain that we spoke of earlier, correct? That everything is connected. This whole cosmos is a yagna that Krishna started, and it is for us to participate in the role that we have been assigned into this yagna, correct? That is why our actions become a yagna. We are all on the same page on that, correct? Right. Now, so aligned to divinity, you will flow with the cycles of nature. So if you align yourself, what does it mean to align yourself? It means that whatever is happening, be in acceptance with that. Because, see, what is Arjun trying to do? He's trying to fight it. He doesn't want to accept it. He wants to run away. So there is a certain level of acceptance that is needed, that whatever is happening, I have to go with the flow and respond to it in the best possible way. Running away is not an option. Okay. Respond to it in the best possible way. People who are misaligned to divinity are the ones who will fight against this flow of nature. Okay. It is uh, see, Osho speaks of how Marx, Lenin, and Stalin, they were all against God. These were atheistic people, and they denied God. So they were willing to fight with whatever existed. It is like going against the cycle. That's how he has taken that example to explain it. And he says, see, how can people say that there is no God? On the people who fight are the ones who are not aligned to divinity. Why are they not aligned to divinity? They say there is no God. How can you say that there is no God? Have you exhausted all the possibilities of knowledge? Is there everything that is there to know? Do you already know it? You have not exhausted all the possibilities of knowledge. No, there is always something that you don't know. So God may be existing in that portion that you don't know. So Osho has explained like this, that this, that is why I said karma yoga is a lot about bhakti. Without this inner alignment to divinity, that I will accept whatever life is giving to me as prasad, it is very difficult to move into karma yoga. Does that make sense? If you cannot accept whatever is happening to me right now as prasad, if it doesn't look so nice, it is simply a blessing in disguise, I must accept it and move on with it. Till then, you will be fighting if you cannot accept it as prasad. So he has elaborated it like that, saying that you will be in denial of divinity and God because you think you know everything, but that's not true. There is always something that you don't know, and that portion that you don't know is the place where divinity resides. Okay. So connection, who fights against cycles? All right. Now, so God, this thing every time I have to move. What should Arjun choose? So, according to the scriptures, now scriptures, Osho says these four cycles, these four ashrams, was scientifically designed. Okay, and Krishna is telling him that you follow this science and you stay with it, and in accordance with this, you discharge your role. So. Now, a little bit of insight into this. Once again, I know broadly we all know. So, the first ashram is the Brahmacharya ashram. So, this is the first 25 years of a person's life. This is the period of discipline, of discipleship, correct? Brahmacharya is the period when when you are in deference to your guru, where everybody is equal, whether it's a king's son or a you know a poor man's son. Everybody goes to the gurukul. Everybody does the same thing. They will do seva of their guru. They will go, chop the woods. They will cook. Everyone is equal. There is a certain egalitarianism there. Okay, so that equality exists, and this is the time where you learn, where you're also taught how to manage your sex center. It's really like that in the first 25 years of life. you know they were taught how to meditate in such a way that the energy can be channeled upwards. Brahmacharya means moving into Brahman, moving energy, moving in divinity. So the children were actually taught how to meditate, how to sit, and how to concentrate on their chakras to move that energy up. So they had experiences of bliss and pleasure, which was not just sensual, which they could create within themselves. Okay, there was a lot of there was a lot of emphasis on consolidation of energy. So these people gathered shakti. The first 25 years of those that student life was really about consolidating your energy, building your own capacity, your power, your competence, your inner strength. So from here, then when you came to Brahmacharya, you were not swayed by sensual pleasures. Yes, you knew there was a place for it and you could enjoy it, but they had all tasted something very wonderful, even in their in the Brahmacharya ashram. So if you are weak, if you do not consolidate this energy in your Brahmacharya ashram and you come into Grahastha ashram, your energy starts functioning in a it can go into a tizzy. See, there is this example that Sadhguru gives, that Osho also speaks of. He says sex in your sex center is a good thing because that is where it belongs. But when sexual energy starts moving into your head, it's a problem. That energy should only stay in the sex center. Everything is organized. Energy has to be organized in a human system. In the Brahmacharya period, you were needed, literally needed. You were put through certain activities. You were put through certain rigor, which created this strength in you. It's like what Sadhguru says, that money in the pocket is a good thing. But when money becomes a mental thing, it's a problem. It's the same thing that they're saying here. You build your energy and then you move into Grahastha. You can still enjoy the pleasures of Grahastha. In fact, a person who is weak will not be able to enjoy the Grahastha. He will not be able to fully participate in that. So, uh, so such a person then when he moves to grahasthashram is a healthy human being. Okay, his energy moves in the right way. Then comes the vanaprasthashram. In vanaprasthashram it is like looking towards the forest. Okay, so this is the time when your children are beginning to have their children, and while you still stay in the house, your focus is towards God, your focus is towards the temple, your focus is towards your sadhana, but you are still in the house. And then comes the sannyas ashram. In sannyas ashram, you become like a leaf that is dry. It's like a dry leaf automatically falls from the tree, no? So we speak of detachment. Detachment is not something that you can do. It's like plucking a green leaf from the tree. It will hurt. It hurts all of us, right? To say detach. You cannot detach like that. Mostly we are suppressing and then it hurts. That energy bubbles back again. Sannyas is a state where you become like a dry leaf and you automatically fall apart. You fall apart from all this samsara and grihasti. It does not. It's like it's now your children's thing. It's not your thing anymore, and you automatically rise into a state of guru. People who followed these ashrams scientifically, all elderly people in that in that 5000 years ago, they came into almost a state of guru. Like in our culture also we have this respect for elders, but Osho makes this comment, and very rightly, I see, if you observe, in our some people have not even completed their brahmacharya ashram even by the age of 60 and 70. You will see 70-year-olds who are trying to, whatever the way they look at women, or there's the way their sexual energy is moving, You can see that in our society, it's like we have lost it. Basically, these ashrams are lost. But in Arjun's time, it was like this. So Arjun wants to become a sannyasi, but sannyasi is a renunciation that uh, that is that is like, it's like a fruit that happens based on the life that you have lived. So the fruit becomes ripe and it falls off from the tree. The leaf becomes dry and it falls off the tree. This is the actual sannyas. That is how it was explained. But Arjun says, I will take sannyas. I will follow renunciation, but that is not his path. He has to go to his ashram. His ashram is of grahast. He is a householder, he is a kshatriya, and that is the ashram he has to follow. So Krishna is trying to explain to him that Arjun, your time for sannyas has not come. You are not in that state. You think that you can be a sannyasi, and he will go on to explain why. He tells Arjun that you are not in a sannyasi state. That is not your state of mind. You should follow your ashram, which is still a grahastha ashram, and through that, then you can hope to come into this state. Okay, so he has not reached. Now, what is Arjun doing? Arjun is trying to fight, isn't it? Arjun is not in acceptance of what is happening. He wants to run away. So he wants to fight with the situation that has been given to him. Okay. He is not responding. He is reacting to the situation. Now, when you react to a situation, Osho gives this example. He says it's like a whirlpool. You're fighting. You're on the surface. You keep fighting. You are on the surface of the whirlpool and you will keep getting caught more and more in its current. But if you become accepting, you start treating that this is the prasad right now from Krishna, that this is what the divine wants me to do. No matter how hard it is, I will take this as prasad. I will join my hands, allow myself to flow into it and move into it deeply. Which means if there are experiences that are happening in our life which are very unpleasant, we don't want it. We want to push and run away. Instead of trying to run away and push those experiences or suppress it, feel them very deeply. Feel them so deeply. Feel all the sensations they create in your system. Sit down and feel them and allow yourself to go deeply into the whirlpool. When you come to the bottom of the whirlpool, which means in a certain sense of totality, you have experienced that situation, the whirlpool itself will release you. You cannot get out of it by fighting. You can get out of it only through acceptance. This is a law of life. Only in acceptance you will come out of it. Otherwise, you will keep fighting with it. Life is a certain dhara, it's a certain flow. This flow has been created by divinity. Krishna said, I created the yagna. This yagna is happening and it will happen in a certain way. If you don't like it, it's unfortunate, but that is your position, that is your node, and that is your coordinate at that point. And at that point, you must become the whirlpool. There will be situations where you will be dancing and you will be having a very smooth ride. So all this happens, and you have to recognize when you have to go inside the whirlpool and accept, when is it a moment to just celebrate and dance, whatever, whichever way we are meant to participate, we must participate. That is what he's telling Arjun. Don't fight with it. Recognize your ashram. Sannyas is not your stage. When you are saying sannyas, you're going to fight with your own nature. That is not what you are uh, prepared. That's not what you're ready for. So allow yourself to be sucked by the whirlpool and you can exit out of it. Move with the flow of life. He says, don't be in a hurry. The right time will come, and it always happens. Now, so he's talking a little bit more about Arjun wanting to take sannyas, detach himself. So we'll look at that. 17, 18. But those who rejoice in the self, who are illumined and fully satisfied in the self, for them there is no duty, action to perform. Oh God, this thing, no? All right. What does this mean? Those who rejoice in the self, meaning people who are enlightened already, who are illumined already, people like Krishna, people like Buddha, they are already illumined. They don't have any more action to perform because everything is over. They don't have to do. Their prarabdha is over, their sanchita is over. The karma warehouse is empty. Now only little bit of kriyam and karma, whatever little bit of prarabdha is remaining, or whatever experience they have to go through, that's it. They don't really have to do anything. Once you come into self realization, you come into this. They have no action on to perform. Such self realized souls have nothing to gain or lose, either in discharging or renouncing their duties. Nor do they need to depend on other living beings for their self interest. Now, so first of all, being, see, I think most of us, I've explained this before, we should understand what is attachment, what is detachment, and what is vitarag. There is rag, which is too much attachment and clinginess to something. There is aversion, which is how we want to detach ourselves. Oh, I want to just detach from these kind of people. I want to just cut myself. So this is running away from something, running towards something, but the something is very important in our life. This is not the state of a renunciant, or this is not the state of a self-realized being. A self-realized being is in a state called Vitarag. He's beyond raga and dvesh. Nothing particularly attracts him. Nothing is particularly, uh, you know, c- creating aversion in him. He is beyond both. He simply does what needs to be done, if at all. He is still participating in the world, or he is sitting on the mountain tops in Himalayas and he's simply sitting. That's it. That's how they are. So, uh, so Paramhans Yogananda has said something very nice. I liked his statement. I'm going to read that out. Physical action is performed by engaging life force on a material level of reality, correct? This is how physical action is done. This is what we called as karma. Spiritual actions are performed by withdrawing life force from the physical body. This is what we call as kriya. This is the difference between karma and kriya. Working in the outside world is karma. Working with your inner energies is kriya, which can help with transformation. Both will. If the outside action is happening as karma yoga and not just karma, that will also help. Kriya yoga, definitely, if you have that, then also it is like a yagna. If you saw that video from Sadhguru on how Shambhavi and Shakti Chalana work, if you apply those practices and as an offering, that itself is an internal yagna. So moving on, karma yogi versus, so this is from Swami Mukundananda. Arjun is saying, I will become a sannyasi. Okay, I will leave all this activity in the world, I will go live in the forest. See, all those enlightened people, even Buddha, he went to the forest, he got enlightened, but he came back. He came back to give to the world, right? Then Adi Shankaracharya participated in the world so much. I'll tell you Sri Ravi Shankar's story. He has shared. He mentioned how when he came into his state of self realization, he said, I just wanted to sit. I didn't want to engage in the world anymore. And he said, the best guidance I had from my teacher is that now you must go and share it with the world. Same thing for Paramhans Yogananda. So Paramhans Yogananda, when he found his enlightenment, he was so blissed out. He was so thrilled. He said, "That's it. Now I don't need to do anything." And his teacher said to him that, Mukund, you think you are going to keep all this bliss for yourself? You will not go share it with the world. You must go back and share it with the world. So he comes back and engages with the world. He comes to United States. Such a big Paramhans Yogananda center here. So there are people like this, Prahlad, Dhruv, all these people. And then there are people like all of these people who accepted the renounced order of life. There were karma sannyasis who were both internally, externally, with both mind and body, engaged only in devotion to God. So there are karma yogis and there are karma sannyasis, people who actively engaged in this life, in the worldly life, and there are people who just leave that life and only devote all their time to divinity. So Swami Mukundananda had mentioned, that's why I bought it. Now, so what is the right action to do? Arjun keeps questioning. This is from Swami Sarvapriyananda. He has shared I like the example. It's actually a true incident. So he says in Harvard there was some discussion going on, and Amartya Sen was there. And the question was that there was a trolley that was moving, and if this trolley moved in one direction, only four people would get killed. If this trolley moved in the other direction, nine people would get killed. There were only two directions possible for that trolley on the track to move. There was nothing else possible. So this question was put in this was a debate, discussion on ethics, on what is the right thing to do. So ordinarily people would say, okay, save more number of people. So let the trolley move into the track, which will only harm four people, less evil of an action. So there was one person in the audience who said, no, both the actions are bad. You have to find a solution where the well-being of everyone is maintained. This is not a solution. Just lesser evil is not a solution. So dharma is like that. He has used the word ethic because he is speaking to the kind of audience that he has, but really this is dharma. How can you bring well-being to everyone there? So otherwise, either way, you are a murderer. so so the point here is, don't be just trapped by authority and theory and what people say. See, Arjun is also trapped by that sort of authority and that sort of theory on these ashrams, and that is why he thinks that that's the right thing to do. But that's not the right thing to do. Krishna is trying to explain to him that understand this properly. You think it's the right thing, it's not. So uh, now 19th. It is appropriate for you to remain always unattached to your actions, because those who are unattached while performing actions attain the divine. Asakta. Asakti means um, uh, unattached. Okay. Now, one second. Where is my screen? Okay. So, there is a very interesting comment here Osho has made in his commentary. He says, see, it is most of us can very easily be deceived by unattachment. Like detachment can be very deceptive. It can look to us like we are beyond attachment. We are in a vitrag state, but we are simply detached. So when we move away from something, or when we push something away, we can feel that, oh, I'm not attached, I'm detached. And see, I have and therefore begin to feel that we are rising on the spiritual ladder. But actually what we are doing is just pushing and suppressing. Sometimes vitarag, people who are beyond rag and dvesh, appear to like, we can start confusing these two. Does that make sense? We can start confusing detachment with a state of going beyond both attachment and detachment. Like we still have all our cravings, okay, but when we are detached from a little something, we feel, oh, I'm so unattached, it doesn't bother me. No, what about all those things that you are attached to? What about all those other cravings that you have? If you don't have any craving, no compulsion, either this way or that way, only then you are in vitrag state. So very important for us to maintain this awareness. Okay. Mahavir was in vitrag state. uh, uh, the monk who sold books. Okay, so that was just a story that Swami Sarvapriyananda had mentioned, in his commentary. He said there is a monk in the monastery, and the role that he is given is to sell certain books in the library. And people come into the library in the monastery and they say, "Oh, the monk is also into business. He's also selling books." So that monk was very he got very angry, and he said, "No, this is my karma yoga." And this is the place where how attached or detached we are. Other people will not see this as your karma yoga, but within you, you know what it is. You are not doing that for business. This is why they say play the role, act the role, because you have to act, you have to participate. The facade has to be maintained. The body itself is a facade, it has to continue maintain the facade, but internally that monk was very clear that this is my karma yoga. I, I must discharge this responsibility because I am on this node right now in that cosmic network. And therefore, I will do that. So I had kept this. All right. Then, very nice. I love this explanation that comes. So, Krishna is telling Arjun that you be unattached and perform your role. You go ahead, you do your role of Kshatriya. You will also be endowed with the ultimate accomplishment like the wise Janak who performed actions while being unattached. See, Krishna is giving Arjun the example of Janak. He says, Arjun, you can also become like Janak. Janak never left his palace. He never went to sannyas. He did not go start living in the forest. Yet he was the greatest yogi. You know, Sage Vyasa's son Sukhadev was sent by Sage Vyas to learn from King Janak. He was sent to King Janak to learn. That is why King Janak, he is somebody who we all can call as a householder yogi. He lived in the household. He continued to do his work as a king, and yet he was one of the greatest yogis. So Krishna, and when Krishna is talking like this to Arjun, he's also pointing out that Arjun has not reached the stage which Janak was in. Arjun has work to do. And he says, you must continue with your work, Arjun, and then you can come into this sannyas automatically. Don't try to. Arjun is in a state where he's trying to pluck a green leaf from the tree in the way he wants to approach sannyas. He says, I will take sannyas. No, he thinks he will be in a vitrag state above craving and aversion, but he will not be. He thinks he is being detached by taking up sannyas, but he's not truly detached. He has so many cravings. He has, like we spoke, that's the very first thing, that if this was a war which was not against his own, he would have gone ahead. He would have loved to expand his kingdom. He is a kshatriya. He likes to, this is his, you know, this is his essence. Kshatriya, being a kshatriya is his essence, not this Brahmin going for sannyas. So he says you can also become like Janak, where sannyas falit hoga, where sannyas will become a fruit of your life for you. If you go through the ashrams, if you scientifically follow those ashrams. Hence, you should also consider the world at large as you perform your actions. So, two things here which we will you should consider the world at large also. Why does Krishna say this? Now, first thing I want to say here is, a point from Swami Sarvapriyananda that by action alone, Janak came into perfection. He came into self realization without going into sannyas. Now, Adi Shankaracharya, Swami Sarvapriyananda, has clearly stated in his commentary, has a problem with this, problem with what Krishna says. Because according to Adi Shankaracharya, only Gyan, that path will bring you to self realization, not Karma Yoga. But in Janak's example, we clearly see that Karma Yoga, and it means performing your actions as karma yoga, not just performing your actions, but turning your karma into karma yoga it has the possibility to bring you into self realization, just as Janak came into it. And Janak is the evidence for it. And Adi Shankaracharya has a problem with it. He uses some arguments and theories to sort of say Krishna is making a mistake there. So Swami Sarvapriyananda actually mentions that in his commentary. If you're interested, you can look at it. This is for people who are academically interested and want to know. Uh, so So continuing. So does one need to make an effort in order? See, there is one more thing he's saying. Hence, you should think of the world at large also. So Krishna is also telling Arjun that see, so many people look up to you, Arjun. You are an extraordinary being. If you run away like this, then what sort of an example are you setting for people? People follow you. People are looking up to you. He will elaborate on the second aspect of this shloka further. We'll come into it. So there's a question that Osho was asked, does one need to make an effort in order to become unattached, which is vitrag, not detached, meaning going beyond aversion and craving. Is there some, do we have to make an effort towards it, or does it happen naturally? Like here, Krishna is saying, no, just go through your ashrams and in sannyas will palit ho jayega. Apne aap it will become fruitful. So someone asked, should I make an effort to it? So here's an explanation that Osho gives. I like that. So he says, see, look at Vitrag or this state as a goal, okay? And there are 100 steps which are leading to this goal. Now, the person who has taken the first step, he has taken the first step, so he is already connected to the goal, correct? If you have taken the first step, then only 99 steps remain. You have already taken the first step and you're connected to the goal. You are 99 steps closer to the goal. You could be on the 99th step, but still you are not at the goal. You're one step less than the goal, right? So it's like the goal is the destination. You can come into it at any point. It works like that. So uh, so those who stop. So there's a little bit of paradox here. Okay. So there are three stages. The first is the person who is standing on step one. There is another person who is standing on step 99. The person who is standing on the first step, you can say he's 99 steps closer. The person who is standing on the 99th step, you can say he is one step closer or he is one step far away. It's how you look at it. Okay. But yes, that's those steps have to be taken. There is a person who is in the middle of that 100 steps. Now, this person can fall back also, can fall forward also. All the possibilities exist. But the person who has reached the 100th step, he has become Vitrag. Okay, he has come into that consciousness. Now, during the journey, so when you're in the middle of that 100 steps, you can be dominated by attractions and aversions. Now, though there's something he says, those who are able to reach without walking have already reached. It's a paradox. Uh, so there are some people who are simply born into this state, isn't it? There are some people, Mozart at the age of 3 was playing music that people with 60, 70 years of practice could not play. Agreed? There was no point putting Mozart through ABC when he was already completing complex sentences. So there are people who, without walking, have reached there. Don't confuse yourself with them. That's important to see. There are some people who have those past samskaras and they are there. It's like Sri Sri Ravi Shankar at the age of 4, he was reciting the Bhagavad Gita. These are people who are in certain states. They have done the work. So without much effort, they will reach that state. You start from where you left in your past lifetime. For men, but for most of us, it will be a effort, a path. It will need a certain sadhana. And he says, so then the person asked, how will I know that I have truly become detached, that I have come into a vitrag state and I am not simply detaching and pushing things away? So Osho says, the day you start, you think that, you know, as long as you have to remind yourself,
Can't hear you, Swati. Yeah.
can you hear me now? All right. So the person asks that, how do I know that I have come into a vitrag state and I am not, I don't want to, get caught up in this deception of detached and vitrag. I spoke of that. Detached is pushing away. So he said the day, as long as you have to remind yourself that you should become unattached, you are still on the journey. When you don't have to remind yourself, that means the journey is over for you. You have become established in Vitrag state. And then he gives the story of the Daruma doll. So he says this is, 400 years ago, there was a mystic named Bodhi Dharma who went to China. And a Japanese name for Bodhi Dharma is Daruma. So when he went there, this Daruma doll was created in his memory. You swing it like this or you swing it like that, it always comes back to its center. It always stays in its center. So that is like a symbol for equanimity, not swayed here, not swayed there. Whatever situations happen to it, it always returns to its center immediately. It will go dancing like that and it will come. So this Daruma doll became like a symbol among the monks. And Osho says this Daruma doll is within all of us. It is our inner consciousness, and it has a way to come back to its original consciousness. So, to its original position. Okay. So, becoming unattached, how to become unattached. See, Krishna is telling Arjuna, no, you must fight this war in an unattached way. Difficult to be unattached and fight, because unattached will mean I'm pushing it away or I'm creating a deception. So these questions have come. No matter, oh, okay, no matter how he behaves, others always imitate his behavior, as he is the best of all men. Whatever example he may give others, follow it, as he is the best of all men. Now, Arjun wants to escape. There's a chat message, Swati. Okay. Now, Arjun wants to escape, and Krishna is telling him this, that you are extraordinary. People look up to you. People live by imitation. Even in our world, human beings are wired like that. Our minds are like that. The fashion which is on, it gets caught up. Everybody is imitating that fashion. What is the kind of houses which are popular, the cars which are popular? There are trends, okay, and there are people who set trends. They're called trendsetters. Arjun is a trendsetter. So Krishna is telling Arjun, don't run away. You know you are a trendsetter. If you do this, other people will also start neglecting their responsibility. So do you want to escape from situations? Are there any situations in your life that you want to run away from right now? Okay. So he has, in this particular shloka, for those of you who are interested, there was a very nice guidance that people live by imitation, children live a lot by imitation. So there was this thought which even Jiddu Krishnamurti supported to a certain extent. I see Sadhguru also speaking of it, but I like what Osho said. So I'm sharing for those of you who have little children. I've gone past that stage. So he says, see, there was a lot of emphasis on how don't give rigid structures to children. Let their consciousness flower, let their soul blossom. And Osho says to a certain extent this is right. Even in psychology, this was coming up in a big way, that don't try to mold children in a particular way, don't try to create rigid molds to fit children into. So to a certain extent it was right, but this tendency of the mind to imitate is very strong. It is there, it is coded in all human beings. So, when parents did not give them a solid structure or did not give them direction or a certain discipline to come into a discipleship, what will happen is that children will start imitating from social media. They will start imitating from streets. We will have more chaos in children's mind, because now they are not clear. Now they are absorbing from everywhere. And very interesting what Osho said. I think this is happening now in our times today, that there was a time when the father entered into the house, the children would all go back into their place. There's a certain deference for my dad is here. Today, fathers enter the house, they are worried, how should I speak to my child? If I say something, they will go into complexes or they will have psychological damage. I am seeing this around, just look around. This is happening. Parents are so worried about how they should say, how they should speak, how much should they do. Otherwise, it will create psychological damage or, ruin the relationship. It is because from an early age, it is important. It's a skill and it's a knack where to let them flower and blossom, and let them you know uh, free, but where to give them definite molds, definite directions, because they don't know. We have to give them definite directions. I thought it was a very good point. You don't have to fit them into structures, but it's a certain combination that will really help children. Otherwise, yes, I think we're seeing this among adolescents today, and how you talk, what you say. Children think something else, they make something else out of it, and everybody is in therapy. So, oh, Arjun, even though there are no actions, now listen to this very carefully. Listen to Krishna's words, how he is speaking. Many people, after reading these shlokas, can think of Krishna as the most egotistical person. But I have explained before, Krishna's I is not the I. In fact, Krishna does not have an I. It is because of the limitation of language that he has to use I. How else will he express himself? This is a limitation of language. So, oh Arjun, even though there are no actions for me to perform in the three worlds, I still continue to perform actions, but my actions are not aimed at attaining any benefit, even the slightest. This is how a self realized being is. A Buddha is like this. It's not for his benefit. Whatever he wanted, he has got the ultimate. Now there is nothing for him to do in the world. Yet he does for the benefit of other people. That is why he returned. And there is a very beautiful story about Buddha saying that when he got nirvana, at the gates of nirvana, the gatekeeper who was holding the door open, he said, okay, you have the doors of liberation have opened for you, Gautam Siddharth, you can come in. And Gautam Siddharth stops there. He becomes Buddha, but he stops, he does not enter that. He said, no, I still have time, I will not enter this till every being there has come into this state. And the story goes that till date, in Mahayana Buddhism, the story exists that till date that gatekeeper is holding the door for him, and Buddha is has kept the door open for everybody who wants to pass through this door, and he will not leave it till the last person has passed. So there is nothing for them; they are just doing it for others. If I would refrain from performing actions, O Arjun, all men would imitate my behavior. Correct? If I don't do actions, people will also start becoming like that. See, if people blindly followed Buddha, okay, Buddha became enlightened, he came back, he engaged in the world, he showed people how to reach the state where he has reached. But without reaching the state where Buddha reached, if people just started leaving and saying, I have become sannyasi, then they will be sitting on mountaintops, Himalayas, trying to meditate, but internal energy is going crazy because they have to work it out through karma. Correct? They are not in the state to leave. You cannot simply imitate. He came into a certain state, but by doing certain things. So you can't just simply imitate Buddha and say, I will also go and just take sannyas and I'll be uh, and that is the right action. If I would refrain from performing actions, all these people would become corrupted. Sorry, I have to move my toolbar. Okay. If I would refrain from performing actions, all these people would become corrupted, and I would be responsible for the birth of individuals of mixed castes. By mixed castes, it's like, they want, I remember I told you how in the caste system they wanted to keep everything clean, that the Brahmin follows the Brahmin path, the soul's journey is maintained so that people can come into self realization quickly without getting mixed up. Otherwise, they lose a lot of time. That's why he's saying that. That is to say, I would destroy the entire population, and in other words, I would be responsible for their ruin. That is why I keep engaging in karma, even if that karma is to teach. So let's look at this first. Avatar. So, when we speak of avatars, avatar is somebody who has transcended his ego. Okay, he is in an egoless state. But Krishna is saying, I can do that and I am doing that. And people who are, see, those people who work from a very academic standpoint, who are looking at Bhagavad Gita as a scholarly text that I want to study, no connection with Krishna, they will talk like this. But if you go into this with a certain mindset, with a certain sense of devotion, it's different. Okay, so an avatar does not have any future. He is already in a self-realized state. He is one with the divine. There is nothing for him to do, but he continues to be among people like us who are still ignorant. He continues to be in dark places just so that he can guide us. That's an avatar. So there's a very beautiful story that Osho gives for us to understand this I that Krishna uses, in these He said, I would refrain if I did this. So, what is this I? So he gives this story of this shopkeeper and his employee. So this shopkeeper wants to go on a pilgrimage. Okay. So, but before he goes on a pilgrimage, he has to set his business and he has to make sure that his employee is able to handle the business well. So he says, from tomorrow, you manage the business. I will simply observe just to make sure that when I am away, you're able to handle everything. So he's observing. And in the first year, he noticed that when a customer comes and starts tries to bargain with him, that employee says, no, my owner will not sell this to you at this price. So the owner does not go in the first year to his pilgrimage. Second year happens, he's observing the employee. In the second year, this employee starts saying, we cannot sell you at this price. Sorry, we cannot do this. This will not work for us. The owner still stays and observes him. He does not go for his pilgrimage because he thinks that his business is going to uh, it will sink if this is how this employee thinks. Then in the third year, when he's observing him, the employee, when the customer comes and starts bargaining with him and says, no, no, you should sell me at this price, that employee says, I'm not going to sell you at this price. That is when he says, now I'm ready to go. Now you can take over this business. See, there is a certain sense of oneness that has happened. Do you see? It's a very simple way of explaining what oneness means. That employee has begun to think of himself as a shopkeeper. It has taken him 3 years to come into that state where now he takes ownership for that business. This is my business. It must do well. This is how he thinks. So there's a certain sense of oneness. This is what oneness means. So a person who reaches a self realized state becomes one with the divine. He merges. There is no difference now between the shopkeeper and the employee. The way the shopkeeper functions and the employee functions. Similarly, there is no difference between the person who has come into a self realized state and the divine himself. Does that make sense to you? Does that very clearly explain what I is? Krishna's I is not the I of ego, it is not an I of ignorance. In fact, there is no I. That I has already dissolved. But to communicate, he has to use these words. But his I comes from the divine I. It's the big I, it's the original mind. So, this is something which I loved how Osho said it. So, I'm going to read it out directly from him. Gives me trouble. Oh dear. Sorry. Have I lost the screen? No, wait. Lost the screen. Okay. No, I can't read it because
You're on mute, Swati.
I say to you, it is wrong to succeed when performing an evil action, but it is not wrong to fail when performing a virtuous action. A thief who succeeds in his crime is wrong, but a sannyasi is never wrong, even if he fails, which means on the path of sannyas, you're not wrong, even if you fail. The desire of performing a virtuous action is in itself an effort in the right direction. It is a great step. So he is trying to push, push as in suggest to Arjun the path of virtuous action. Oh God. On the path of virtue, you win even if you are defeated. On the path of evil, you are defeated even when you are victorious. If Arjun runs away, he is actually going to uh, give impetus to evil because I'm not saying it like that, but you are responsible for your subjects. You are going to allow people like Duryodhan to rule. You're not standing with dharma, a man who did what he did to Draupadi, all of that. So he is trying to explain this to him. This particular thing which Osho said was in context of a question that was put to him. I liked what was said. I thought the message was important, and that's why I brought it here. So it is a path. Sannyas, moving towards sannyas is a path. Move towards it, okay? And okay, 25th. Oh, Arjun. Oh, I have to do something about this. I'm sorry. No, my toolbar covered. Oh, Arjun, when an ignorant man performs actions, his actions are motivated by his own attachments. The wise man also performs actions in the same way, but he remains unattached and acts for the benefit of the world. Now, this is very tricky. Can you perform an action if there was no motivation for you to do it? Will you go to work if today we go to work? Why? Because there's motivation. I'm going to get, whatever. Is it status? It's the income. um, that is why we are going to work, right? There is some motivation. I need to feed my family. I need the food on the table. So so that motivation drives you to work. Suppose everything was taken care of you. Food was provided, money was provided, everything. Will you still work? I'm asking you, is it possible for us ki karma mein utarna? Can we really come into action if everything was given to us? Like Osho said, Sadhguru, when he was speaking on Gita, he gave a very nice example. He said, if I guarantee you 100% marks in your exam, will you study? You will not do the action only, isn't it? Isn't it true? Or is it not? But it's very possible. It is very possible that we will not engage in the action if you're told everything is okay, or everything is going to be, you will get the results anyhow. We all engage in action because we want the fruits of the action. That fruit is our motivator. Now Krishna is telling him what? Don't don't have any motivation. Very difficult, isn't it? For most of us, it will be very difficult. Yes, Anu, go ahead.
So, Swati, if everything was given to us, we may not know what is the correct action that we were supposed to take. Like if the war was already fought for Arjun, then he wouldn't know that, like, how would he know he's a warrior? He has to fight that war, like a very simple example. Like if all the food was cooked in my house, I wouldn't know that the right thing for me to do is to make the food for my family, right? I'm
But
trying
that's
to
in the
think that way.
future. That's in the
Mhm.
future. So the food is not ready right now. The food will be cooked. So you will not engage in that action only. You will not participate. Correct. So that is why it is Maya. No, some things are hidden from you so that you will engage in action. But for us to engage in action, all of us need motivation, like a little carrot dangling. Correct. That is what he's saying. But now Krishna is telling him, there will be no carrot dangled in front of you, but you are a kshatriya. You do your work as a kshatriya. This is very hard. It is very hard, no? I don't want to do it. I don't want to participate in it. And I can run away from it. But he's saying you do it and you do it. First of all, he doesn't want to fight. Then he's saying fight without motivation. So that makes it really difficult. But that is why, now understand, and Osho has gone into great length in trying to explain this. He says that a person, he needs a motivation to he gives him a motivation because he knows that the kind of person Arjun is and how most of us are, we will not be able to function without motivation. Most human beings will not be able to function without some motivation. We need a carrot dangling. We need this is He has just recognized this state of mind, and therefore he gives him a certain motivation saying lok kalyan, do it for the benefit of other people, because simply doing an action is not possible. I'll tell you a story. So from Swami Sarvapriyananda, he had shared about one of the monks. This is a true story, okay? One of the monks, Swami Ji jo bhi the, he had to cross the river to go and teach whatever. a Vedanta class across the river. So every day he would go for that. 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row, it happened that he went there. There was nobody in the class, but he stood there in the class and he taught the class. He says, I do my action simply as a service to the divine. I will still do my action 100% involved. So Sister Nivedita, who is, who belongs to that tradition, she has written about it and she spoke about it. That's how Swami Sarvapriyananda mentions it. There are people who can go to this level. There are people who can go to this level who will simply identify what my action and what my role is and what capacity can I participate in a yagna. You decide your own action. Okay, you decide whatever action you want to do, but I have to participate. This man has recognized that Krishna is running a yagna. I must participate in this yagna. This is the way I participate, which is through teaching. So I will go teach because this is my offering into this yagna. How can I not do it? It doesn't matter whether anybody is there or not. He simply has made his life into an offering. His life energy is an offering. Most of us are not in this state. We will not do it. We say, what is the point of it? It's a useless. It is meaningless activity, isn't it? We will all say it's a meaningless activity. We will not do it. Krishna recognizes the human psyche. He recognizes Arjun's psyche. So he gives, it's like, the fish hook, he's put a little bit of dough on it. And the dough is Lok Kalyan. Do it for the benefit of people, Arjun, because people look at you, people will learn from you, people will follow this path. It will benefit more people. And therefore, you must do it. If Krishna had spoken like this to, and he can say these words only to Arjun, he could not have said these words to Buddha. Because if you say to Buddha, Lok Kalyan ke liye karo, do it for the benefit of people, Buddha would immediately say, there is no question of benefiting other people or lok kalyan till atma kalyan happens. Till you're in your soul you have evolved, there is no question of benefiting other people. You cannot do it. He would just dismiss it. But Krishna understands Arjun, he understands his Kshatriya nature. Kshatriya works with people, he relates with people, he wants recognition from people. A Kshatriya is wired like that. So he says, do it for these people, but play, do it, engage in this activity as though you were an actor. Don't be identified with actions. Just be identified with the actor. Just be with, see, we are all identified with this, what is outside. I am doing this, I'm doing that. No, you within yourself simply be identified with the divine, and you keep this as an offering. You realize that whatever action you're doing is just as an actor. That's all. Simply do 100%. Have you all participated in some school plays, right? So you get a feeling of what it was like when you participated in a play. You dressed fully for the role, you learnt your lines pretty well, you made sure you didn't make any mistakes. So I should not forget. There was somebody who was giving you a prompt if you forgot. You learnt your dance steps. We really played our part to the hilt, even though in the background we knew it is just a play, correct? It is just a play. This is how he's telling him to act. And see, it will be very difficult to apply this in a big way in life. But I'm telling you, use this week that in smaller activities, you identify in which activity can I be the actor. I'm going to work like this. Start doing it, because if you don't start and you don't do it in small activities, doing it when life throws very critical situations at you is going to be very hard. For Arjun, it's happening at a very, very critical point. It's even harder. But if you can do it in small things, say even in a small interaction with your child, okay? Just a simple interaction. You just remember you have to play the role of the mother. Sometimes you have to shout also at the child. Sometimes you have to scold the child. So now you do the scolding as a facade, not because internally you are angry and you are vengeful and you want to, hurt the child. Internally you be very calm and comfortable, but on the outside you have to maintain that I'm very angry with you, how could you do that? Because that's a role. That's a role, and it has a specific outcome for the child. It may actually benefit the child if he recognizes that. So I'm telling you, start picking up small activities, at least one or two activities in a day, where when you are interacting or when you are performing an action, you are simply in an actor's role. So when you are in an actor's role, just remember how best an actor would perform it and just try to do it like that. See what happens. These are all experiments. These are then only Gita becomes alive. I find it easy to apply this in my workplace. Somehow it's just happened for me at home. I told you it's more difficult for me. I lose my awareness very easily at home with relationships and, just home. And it's like I become very dhila. I lose awareness at home. I've seen that in myself. I'm. Uh, yeah, I'm more alert. I'm more aware when I'm at my workplace, and I really play that. It's like an orchestra that's running, and I'm like moving according to Krishna's tunes. Literally, I find it easier to do it at workplace. So you will have to do a little bit of searching. If any one of you wants to talk to me separately and see if you're really interested in how you can implement this, talk to me and let's see what we can do. If you're really interested, but this is what we are uh, uh, getting at. So, why does Krishna give him this bait? Because Arjun can always say, if everything is Leela, if everything is an act, what is the point of it? Let me not do it. So he's saying, no, no, no. It is for the benefit of all the other actors who are there, for everybody else who surrounds you. That is why you must do it. So I had planned to do this till 25th. We are very much on time. If you have any questions, please let me know. So that's how we participate in Krishna's Leela. So there is another point that Osho has mentioned here. He says that right now, Krishna is using this as a bait to keep Arjun on the battlefield. And slowly, he will teach him how to act while remaining unattached. But right now, he's giving this as a bait that do it for Lok Kalyana. But actually, there is no Lok Kalyana. You know, it is, I don't know how to say this. It's in a higher state of spiritual evolution, just like what Buddha says, there is no Lok Kalyan. Krishna is actually doing this for Arjun's Kalyan. Remember that. He said to Arjun that this kind of a war, this is what is going to take you towards your enlightenment. This is what Arjun needs. So, in some sense, what he's doing this is for Arjun, but Arjun does not understand this. So, he's now bringing in this idea of Lok Kalyan for the welfare of people. And that is just a carrot he's dangling in front of him. Anything that you have to share? Uh, oh, God. Thing. We will continue next time on this. I've just done up till here. So, stop the share. Okay. If anybody has anything to share, any comments, any reflections, your practice. Uh,
Swati, I just had one question, like why why did the Buddha like spend his time for the Lok Kalyan? Because he was already a karma sannyasin, right? So like why did he choose to do the Lok
to
Kalyan?
come back into the world and help others
Yeah.
out of compassion. See, the purpose of human life is self realization. This is the purpose of human life. Till you come into self realization, you will keep going in this chakkar. You will keep dying, you will be born again, and it will keep taking you longer and longer. The purpose of human life is self realization to break the cycle of samsara. He recognized this. And to help people break this cycle of samsara, he came back and engaged with them. Why are people like Sadhguru, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, why are they doing what they're doing? Why did Osho do what he's doing? He could have simply sat, but they're doing this out of their compassion because they realize that so many people are also going through suffering. You see, world means dukkha, isn't it? Buddha also said, no, world means dukkha. Maharishi Patanjali also says, no, that life itself, body itself, this is dukkha, this is suffering. So all these souls which are here in the world are just are experiencing suffering. Everybody wants to get past suffering, but the way to get past suffering is to come into self realization. You can still live in the world, remain for the rest of your life as a self realized being, but then you will not suffer anymore. Why do they come back? Out of compassion, to remove suffering, to help people with ways and tools so that their suffering will come down. Physical disease, mental disease, all of this is suffering only. So out of compassion, these people are doing what they are doing. That's why Paramhans Yogananda's guru told him to come back, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. That's why Sadhguru sometimes he's asked, what are you passionate about? What would you like to do? He says, there's nothing particularly that I like to do. I just do what needs to be done. So he sees where the need is and he simply applies. But that is out of compassion that it will help. He says, the only thing that held me back, he was supposed to exit his body at 40 something. He said, what held me back was the love of people. That's all that held me back. So it is really from that place, I think.
But then some chose not to be held back, like Swami Vivekananda, who went off at 36.
So his
You know,
was
they said,
destined, but Vivekananda did a lot of work. He did not, see, it's like this. Buddha's time was till 80, right? At the age of 40, he got his enlightenment. Then he stayed on for 40 years, which means his prarabh, like he had he had that much life left. He knew he had that much life left. Similarly, Ramakrishna, he had enlightenment, but he had, he had that small thing. He would say, I'm eating food, so that is the only way I can keep. I know when my time will come. Vivekananda didn't have probably that. I mean, my understanding is he didn't have so much time. He knew he would only have so much time, like whatever, up to he died in his 30s. He left his body at that time, and at some, but he did a lot of work towards Lok Kalyan. All this Ramakrishna mission that he established, and so he is the one who brought the whole idea of service and seva in a big way in Hindu tradition, in our tradition. Otherwise, in our tradition, it was more about meditation and contemplation. But he also brought in the idea of seva and service in a big way. So, but probably, Sangeeta, my understanding is that he didn't have that much life portion left. That is not something you can control. I mean, there are mystics, or he did not have the tools to know how to. There are mystics like you see, he was enlightened, but he was not a mystic. I don't know if I can call him a mystic. I don't know. He was definitely a siddha. Vivekananda was a siddha, enlightened, but to be a mystic is beyond that. Like Sadhguru says, that just self realization and enlightenment, you just do these processes, it's very easy. It's not a very difficult thing to become enlightened. But he says, if you want to get into mystical processes, then the practices that you do and the kriyas that you do are very different. They are at a different level altogether, where you can manipulate life energies. Swami Vivekananda was not inclined towards that, nor was he like that. He never spoke of hatha yoga in a very favorable way. And all mystical aspects, like the manipulation of life energies or how to direct them, is really tantra. It comes from hatha yoga. Vivekananda was not like this. You have to be a tantric to be able to extend, like Sadhguru has done work. If you've read his books, you know what he has done. He has done some work on his life energies. He says, "My life, I have because there are two people to whom I am connected because of there is work that is being done on life energies." He's a mystic. He has mastery over tantra. Adi Shankaracharya was like that. He had mastery on Tantra. He could leave his body, put it in a cave, go into the body of the king, spend time there, then come back and join that debate, if you know that story. So these were tantric masters. It is beyond enlightenment. There is enlightenment, which is just self-realization, and then there is a level beyond that, which is mystical, which is and which requires enormous amount of sadhana, I guess, to come into the knowledge of of that and to be able to apply that knowledge. Like एक बारी एक सत्संग में somebody asked Sadhguru, and Sadhguru, if I want to know about the body as much as you know, how much you know, like he knows how to work with all the 72,000 nadis and to direct them to create things, whatever. So He says, he said it takes back-breaking sadhana. He says, it has taken me 3 lifetimes. He says, just stay with this. He says, I'm telling you because if somebody has to become a doctor, we know that they have to go through this much amount of study. But if you have to reach those levels, he said, there is just not enough time in life for that. So he says, don't get misdirect. Don't focus your energies here. Just focus with your sadhana. He didn't encourage that. He says most people don't have what it takes now, and it was a very intimate satsang with him where he shared that. So tantra is a very very different thing, very very different. That is, I think it comes from tantra knowledge to be able to manipulate your energy and leave it like that. Okay, anything else? And that's my understanding. Anything else? No, we are good. 25 shlokas done. Okay, little bit, a little more than halfway. All right, we will continue next time. If there's nothing, let's just take a closing mantra. Um, Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Namaste. Thank you very much. Okay, quick question. We move our timing to 8 p.m. Is that all right with everybody? Yeah? Mornings, I think again, people are busy, so I didn't want to do it morning. Plus, it gives me a little time to study because I also need to review and revise. So we'll keep it 8 p.m., right? Going forward. Okay, sounds good. Then you have time to get to bed and people are not falling asleep. Okay, thank you very much.